Hello everyone and welcome to Werven's World and welcome to my introduction to the United Empire. The United Empire is a very interesting race to play in Endless Space 2 because while they're completely about influence and taking over other factions, however during your storyline you can actually completely switch your focus on either military stuff or science stuff, which is quite interesting, which I'll delve into later, but let's first look at their introductory video to kind of get an idea of their atmosphere.
Under the visionary leadership of Emperor Zelivus, we have become a proud and powerful nation. It is time to rise up, grasp our future, and seek our destiny among the stars. Imagine the future that we can build. We shall construct great fleets, send them out to make great discoveries, and through their conquests, secure our place in this rich galaxy. We will discover new sciences and new life. We will greet new peoples and turn them into new patriots. Together, we shall leave our mark on history. For together, we can become anything our hearts desire. Whatever the cost, whatever the effort, let us not shy away from the greatness that is our birthright.
Alright, let's look at the mechanics of the United Empire. First of all, we have Emperor's Will, which means that we get plus 0.1 influence per industry that we spend. Then there's a second part of this ability that says can use influence to buy out star system improvements, research technologies, and purchase resources on the marketplace. So let's go into these two things separately. First of all, we get influence for every industry we spend. You can actually see how much you'll get. Let's say I want to build the impervious bunkers. You can see it costs 280 industry, so that should mean that we get 28 influence from building this, and as you can see in the bottom, that's indeed the case. Emperor's Will plus 28 influence. So for everything we build, we actually get a little bit of influence, and that really adds up over time. And influence we can use for several things. So as the second part of the ability says, we can use it for research, we can also use it to buy out things and to purchase things on the marketplace. So let's first look here. You can see if I click on these impervious bunkers, then I can either spend money because I've researched this technology that allows me to do that. This one here, accelerated production. If you don't have this, you can still buy out things with influence. So then we can also buy out our research, and this is really quite cool. As you can see here, currently I am researching hyperpacks. And instead of waiting 2 turns, I can just click on this little black thing here and I can spend 2.3 thousand, so 2300 of influence in order to immediately buy this out. Now this works a little bit different than buying out here, because even if here I would spend it, I still have to wait a turn for it to be built. Not so with research, you immediately get it. And this can definitely help you when you're in a bit of a trouble. For example, I was being attacked and I wasn't really ready for it. So in the same turn, I basically immediately bought out this technology to get a better ship. And then I put it here in the queue. And then I bought it out with influence. So the next turn, I immediately had a cool battleship in order to prevent this attack from happening. So you can play really reactively with this influence spending. And I kind of think that's pretty cool. Then if we go to the marketplace, you can see that we can buy out any of these resources and strategics for the same price as the gold. So it's a little bit different here because the amount of influence is different than the amount of money, but on the marketplace it's exactly the same. But it doesn't stop with strategics and luxuries. If you research the upgrade that you have access to more of the marketplace, you can also buy out ships, as you can see here, as well as heroes, which you can see here. So this is really quite a versatile ability. Then we have Imperials, which is our population, and there are many paths for these humanoids, though they tend to prefer economic and military development, it says. So if we look at them, this here is the icon for them, it says that we get +1 influence. So we're not getting any food, no industry, no dust, no science, just 1 influence. And this sounds a bit like they are lacking something, and you will notice it a little bit that they don't grow very fast. However, you can buy out everything with influence except for additional population, so in that sense it's quite balanced. Now the interesting thing is that at some point during the campaign you will get this thing here. No turning back. And there you can choose to stay being a united empire, or you can choose to become Mezari, or you can choose to become Sheridan. And this will change all your population to either Mezari, which give you a big science bonus as you can see here, or a Sheridan, which are very much militarily oriented as you can see here. So this is really an interesting thing where just in the middle of the game you can completely switch gears, and you can go very much science or very much military, or stay with influence and take everything over that way. Of course, if you want to go for a science or military victory, you don't necessarily have to choose Sheridan or Mezari. They do give you relevant bonuses in both of those categories, but even just staying as United Empire, you can do those things quite well because you produce so much influence. Then you can, for example, buy out a lot of ships or buy out a lot of scientific improvements. Then we start with a minor faction called the Hisho, and we start with one of those in our home systems, and they are like this. They give you plus 20 manpower and plus 30 manpower on sterile. However, there seems to be a bug with this. As you can see here, now I'm on a sterile planet, and then you can see I have plus 13 manpower here. If I move it to a fertile planet, and move this one back, then I have plus 43, so suddenly I have 30 more. Even though I should have 30 less than here. And even when I move this one to a non-fertile planet, I still have that plus 30. So it seems that I basically always get plus 20 and plus 30, so plus 50, except when I'm actually on a sterile planet, and then I seem to get a minus 30. So either there's a bug here in the description, and this should be something else with fertile, but at the moment it seems to be getting minus 30 if it's actually on a sterile planet, even though here it says the other way. Then we have Expansionist 1, which means minus 25% over-colonization penalty on Empire. You can see about this at the Empire summary screen, so here is this little bar, and it says that at the moment I can have 8 systems, and if I have more than that, then I will get an Empire-wide approval penalty, so everyone will start to get unhappy with me. However, if you have Expansionist, then this penalty is decreased by 25%. Then we have Patriots 2, which means we get plus 25% manpower capacity on our Empire. What this means is, well, we just basically have more of a pool of manpower that we can draw from, and this can be quite nice. If you're building a lot of ships, for example, let's say here I want to build a couple of escorts, all of these have an optional cost of 100 manpower. So that would be drawing manpower away. That doesn't mean I can not build ships if I don't have manpower, but they will be less efficient. As you can see here, when you click on any of these, you can see that you get a plus 20% damage bonus when you actually have your ship full of crew. So having enough manpower is good, so if you have a higher pool, you can basically build a fleet quicker without running out of manpower. Then, just like any of the other factions, we start off with 2 research technologies. In the case of the United Empire, that's Xenolinguistics and Off-World Agribusiness. So as you can see here, this one is Off-World Agribusiness, which gives us the infinite supermarkets to help with approval, and also the ability to do diplomacy with minor civilizations. Then we have Xenolinguistics here that gives us some extra production, which is very welcome with the United Empire, and it immediately gives us the ability to exploit titanium. Then there is the research tree. Of course there's all these ship hulls that we can research and upgrade, but then there's also this one, Emperor's Shadow, which gives us this slightly creepy technology, Zelavis Incarnate. As you can see here, combing augmented reality and mood capture tech, each Patriot can enjoy a daily visit from a breathtakingly lifelike facsimile of Empire Zelavis himself that captures his current, usually unsatisfied feelings, productivity rockets. Anyway, it gives us 0.3 dust per influence that we make and 0.3 industry per influence that we make. So this might not sound like a lot, but it's actually 30% of your influence goes to dust and production. So that's quite a big boost right there. Then we have a really weird one. It took me ages to figure out what to do with this one, and I still haven't completely figured out, but now at least I have a theory. Because it says that this is specific to the Imperial's affinity. However, This here is exactly the same than other races. This one unlocks new government types, is also exactly the same as other races. However, now I figured out that even without this technology, if you actually go to governments, the Federation is a little bit better for the United Empire than it is for other factions apparently. It actually has +2 systems occupied before triggering expansion disapproval on Empire instead of +1 for other factions. However, this is already the case before you research this, but I guess that just plays into it because even when you research this, this government will be a little bit different than other races because it has this +1 extra systems occupied before triggering expansion disapproval. This is quite nice in the Federation because you can expand even more before you get expansion disapproval, and even when you get expansion disapproval, because you are expansionist, you get less of a happiness hit. So in that sense, it's quite nice. So then we have this one here, and this allows us to get +4 systems occupied before triggering expansion disapproval instead of +2 that other empires get, so that's also quite nice. And then basically there's only the military tax as far as I've been able to see. This one here, it's the same as other races get, just a little bit better, little bit more efficient. And then here the imperial slugs, which again are just a little bit better than other factions of equivalents. Politically, we're very much industrialist, and I would also suggest to stay with industrialist for a while because some of your plot missions rely on industry stuff happening. So your political traits are industrialist. That means that whenever you do something industrial, this one actually increases more than normal. Anti-ecologist, so whenever something ecology-like happens, you don't get a lot of ecology output. And then you're pragmatic, so science events also will increase your industrialism a little bit. Then you start with the Hisho that are completely militarist, so they increase with military stuff, and they don't do much science or pacifism at all. So throughout the game you'll probably lean a little bit industrialist and militarist, and that's exactly how it happened in my game as well. And I made the mistake, I think, in going to a democracy at some point, so I couldn't at all influence the elections, and then at some point the military started winning, even though I wanted to have the industry, the compulsory law of the industrialist. So then we have the imperialist effects themselves, so of course we start with the +1 influence that we already talked about. But then if we have 10 of them, we get extra industrialist output. Then if we have 20, we get +15% influence on system with empire population, and then at 50 we get -20% system cultural conversion cost on empire. So this is really quite strong. So cultural conversion cost ties in with this technology here. Where are they? Here, this one, the SLC, which allows you to take over other cultures by having them in your influence area. So this is really quite nice of a bonus. Take note though that if you go for Sheridan or Mazzari in that mission that allows you to switch your population, your political output will change completely, and so will your effects. So with the Sheridan you will basically go for a lot of manpower capacity on your planets, which, well, helps you to defend as well as create a lot of ships that are fully stocked with crew. And for the Mazzari, you basically start acting like Sophons and you get a huge boost to your production, and technologies will also start costing much less science. Victory-wise, the United Empire can kind of go in every direction because they're so versatile. So first of all, they can expand like crazy with their expansionists and all the technologies that allow them to expand more and more than other empires can. Then you have the buyout of stuff with your influence, so you can go very quickly up into the science tree, and you can also buy out buildings and can buy new heroes and stuff, all with influence. So you can really kind of go wherever you want. And then if you want to go for science or military, you even have the option of going for the Mazzari or the Sheridan. So they're very versatile, and I think that makes them quite fun to play. One thing I would like to point out regarding heroes is you might want to look out for counselors. And counselors, they have a very nice thing that complements your race in this skill here, public relations expert. Gives you 40 extra influence on your system if you have it on level 2. It gives you +20% influence on your system, so that's really quite a bit if you are producing a lot of influence, which you probably will be considering you're the United Empire. And then On the Senate, so if you are a political leader, it gives you plus 50 extra influence on empire per trading company. So as you can see here, this one here is in the Senate, and that's why it has this skill here that gives me plus 50 extra influence on empire per trading company. So all of this complements your race quite well, so I think looking out for these councillors might not be a bad idea at all. Military ship wise, I guess I don't have too much to say. They are, I guess, just kind of standard. They got access to plenty of modules and they're not super versatile, but they do have some optionals in it. So for example, this is the defensive ship that has access to quite a lot of defense and one weapon. And then we have our offensive starter ship that has access to 3 weapons, although one of those can also be turned into a defensive one. So yeah, there's nothing really specific about these ships as far as I could say. It's just that they are versatile enough and they're quite strong. As always, I also like to show the aesthetics of the ships. Unfortunately, every battle I instigated in this game, people kept retreating. Now finally I found one ship that didn't retreat, because if it would retreat then it would already die, because it was already at half health because of it retreating. So now it's my entire army versus this ship. So let's see how it goes. Oh, that was quick. So this was my overview of the United Empire. As always, I like to point out that this is not a strategy guide. This is just supposed to give you an overview on how this race plays, how the specific mechanics go, and so on. So I hope it was useful, and see you next time.